It's 3:17 in the morning. Your baby has already woken up 4 times tonight. And somehow, the moment you try to put them down, their eyes snap open. Their tiny arms flinch outward, and suddenly, they're crying like the world is ending. So you start wondering things you never thought you'd wonder. Am I creating bad habits? Am I being too soft? Why does my baby only sleep on me? And maybe the hardest question of all, am I doing something wrong? But what if your baby isn't fighting sleep? What if they're responding exactly the way human babies were designed to respond? Because there's a reason babies crave closeness at night. A real biological reason. And once you understand it, those long nights start to feel a little less confusing.
When people talk about newborns, they usually talk about diapers, feeding schedules, swaddles, strollers, but almost nobody prepares you for the emotional shock of newborn sleep. Nobody tells you what it feels like to spend an hour getting your baby asleep, for them to wake up 30 seconds after touching the crib mattress. Nobody tells you how lonely 2 a.m. can feel, or how quickly exhaustion can make you question yourself. When my daughter Lily was born, I thought babies just slept. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not through the night, but I assumed there was some natural rhythm to it. Instead, Lily only wanted one thing, me. If she slept on my chest, peaceful. If I rocked her, calm. If I stood up to put her down, instant panic. And I remember thinking, why is this happening? Because when you're exhausted enough, your brain starts searching for explanations. Maybe I'm spoiling her. Maybe she's becoming dependent. Maybe I already messed this up. But here's what I wish someone had told me earlier. Your baby is not trying to control you. Your baby is trying to feel safe. Think about the environment your baby came from. For 9 months, they lived in constant closeness, constant movement, constant warmth, constant heartbeat, constant sound. They never experienced separation. And then suddenly, after birth, they're expected to sleep alone in a still, quiet room. That transition is enormous for a newborn nervous system, especially during the first few months of life. Researchers sometimes refer to this early stage as the 4th trimester, a period where babies are still adapting to life outside the womb. And during that adjustment, closeness matters.
Here's something most parenting books don't talk about enough. For most of human history, babies were almost never separated from caregivers. They were carried, held, worn against the body. They slept near adults. Not because ancient parents were better at parenting, but because human babies are born incredibly vulnerable. Compared to many animals, human newborns are remarkably dependent. A baby deer can stand within hours. Human babies can't even regulate many parts of their own experience yet, including temperature, calming, and sleep organization. And from an evolutionary perspective, closeness increased survival. A baby who stayed near caregivers stayed protected, which means human babies evolved to seek proximity. That's why your baby relaxes when they hear your heartbeat. Why do they calm down when they smell your skin? Why can your voice lower their distress almost instantly? Their nervous system recognizes you as safe. So when babies cry after being put down, it's usually not manipulation. It's communication. And honestly, that changes the way you hear crying. Instead of hearing, "This baby is trying to make my life harder," you start hearing, "I need a connection right now." That doesn't mean parents must hold babies every second of the day. And it definitely doesn't mean you're failing if your baby struggles with sleep. It simply means your baby's need for closeness is deeply human.
Now, I want to talk about something important, because understanding your baby is only one part of this story. The other part is you. And I think a lot of parents silently carry guilt around this stage of life. Not just guilt about being tired, but guilt about wanting space. I want to sleep, wanting your body back. A mother once wrote to me and said, "I love my baby so much it hurts. But sometimes when she wakes up again at 2 a.m., I feel angry for 1 second. Then I feel horrible for feeling angry.
And I think so many parents know that feeling. The love is real. The exhaustion is also real. Those two things can exist together. You can adore your child and still feel overwhelmed. You can feel grateful and depleted at the same time. And that doesn't make you a bad parent. It makes you human. One of the most harmful messages modern parenting culture sends is the idea that struggling means failing. But sleep deprivation affects everything: mood, memory, emotional regulation, anxiety, patience. When parents are chronically exhausted, even small tasks feel emotionally enormous. That's why support matters. Not because parents are weak, because humans were never meant to raise babies completely alone. For most of history, caregiving was shared. Grandparents, relatives, community, partners, older siblings. Today, many parents are trying to do all of it themselves, while also working, cleaning, cooking, answering emails, and functioning on almost no sleep. So if this season feels hard, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means it's hard.
However, a newborn's brain is still under construction. The parts responsible for emotional regulation, calming, stress response, and organized sleep are developing rapidly during the first year of life, which means babies cannot fully regulate themselves yet. They borrow regulations from you. Your calm helps create their calm. That's why babies settle when you hold them close. Why does your heartbeat relax them? Why can your voice lower their distress almost instantly? Your presence literally helps organize their nervous system. And over time, something beautiful happens. The safety they repeatedly experience with you slowly becomes internalized. Little by little, your child develops confidence from connection, not from being abandoned to figure everything out alone. But modern parenting culture often turns this into a battle. One side says babies should immediately learn independence. Another says parents should never put babies down. And stuck in the middle are exhausted mothers and fathers wondering why every choice suddenly feels like a test they can fail. The truth is usually far less extreme. Babies need connection. Parents need rest. And every family finds that balance differently. Some families use gentle, responsive approaches. Some eventually try structured sleep methods later in infancy. Some combine different strategies depending on the child. Because healthy sleep is not built around internet perfection. It depends on temperament, development, mental health, support systems, and family well-being. There is no universal formula. And honestly, that realization can feel incredibly freeing. Because your job is not to become the perfect parent online. Your job is to understand your child while also caring for yourself. That's why small, realistic changes often matter more than miracle sleep hacks. Predictable bedtime routines help babies feel secure. Dim lights, white noise, rocking, feeding, soft music, and repeated nighttime patterns teach the brain that sleep is approaching. Familiarity creates safety, and tiny transitions matter too. Many babies wake because the shift from warm arms to a still mattress feels sudden and unfamiliar. Slowing down the transition, keeping a hand on their chest, pausing before walking away, moving gently, can help sensitive nervous systems adjust more calmly. But maybe the most important thing parents need to hear is this: stop comparing your baby to the internet. Online, it seems like everyone else has a baby sleeping perfectly through the night by 8 weeks old. Meanwhile, your baby still wakes constantly and only settles with closeness. That does not mean you failed. Infant sleep varies enormously. Some babies are naturally sensitive. Some crave more physical reassurance. Some wake frequently for months. And many parents silently struggle far more than social media ever shows. But slowly, development happens. Brains mature, sleep cycles organize. One day your baby sleeps a little longer. One day bedtime feels less stressful.
And eventually, the child who once needed to sleep on your chest becomes the toddler confidently running into another room without looking back. That security becomes independence. Not overnight, but gradually. So if you're in a hard season right now, remember this. Your baby is not giving you a hard time. Your baby is having a hard time, adjusting to a brand new world. And you're learning too. No parent handles every night perfectly. No baby follows a perfect timeline. But showing up with love, even while exhausted, that matters more than perfection ever will. If this video made you feel seen, understood, or a little less alone in the middle of those sleepless nights, subscribe now, because sometimes the right understanding can change the entire way you parent.